Hello dear aspirants, today is 27 January and we are ready with the must-read article list for 27 January. I am 𝐼𝐞𝐥𝐬𝐴, your mentor from Prepp IAS, and I'm trying to make your newspaper reading as effective and fast as possible. So let's start with the front page. There's nothing much in the front page, only one article, that too from governance point of view. For example, any question comes in GS paper 2, what are the issues in the governance scheme? You can just mention no extra allocation for Manrega, wages delayed. Right, so disbursement delay and wages to workers is one of the issues that schemes are facing, right? So section 3 clause 3 of Manrega Act says that when the work is done, post that not later than 15 days the wages should be paid. So that is the that's written in the act also, so that should be followed, and if there is any issue it can be called as challenges and limitation. Let's move to the next article. So this we had covered on 25th January, Saturday. Geo-tagged digital identity helps Kashmiri's chinar trees stand tall. So they are trying to save the chinar trees, which is being felled because of the urbanization that is happening, a lot of destruction that is happening with the urbanization. So this comes under GS paper 3 conservation measures. Facing destruction due to rapid urbanization and infrastructure projects, geo-tagged digital identity on the lines of Aadhaar, like Aadhaar are for humans, they are keeping this geo-tagged identity for the trees, has been introduced to monitor the health of every chinar tree in the Kashmir Valley. So Jammu and Kashmir Forest Research Institute's Digital Tree Aadhaar initiative. You can mention this initiative as a very good practice in an environment related article, or even in an e-governance related article, right? So it gives a unique number to each tree, right? And the aim is to establish a detailed database of chinar trees, and chinar grows in Jammu's Chenab Valley and the Pir Panjal Valley. That's it for this article. Let's move to the next article. So this article in editorial is about India with Indonesia. This comes under GS paper 2, bilateral agreement between India and other countries. So we are talking about Indonesia because Indonesian president was Republic Day chief guest. Okay, so what are the ties and how was the ties in ancient time to independence to now? That's what the article is discussing. Right, so India's and Indonesia's ancient ties rests on trade and travel, and it was also because of the spread of the adapted form of Javanese Hinduism, as well as use of Vedic and Sanskritic texts, Sanskrit words. Okay, and during the imperialism, and then also we have showed solidarity towards each other, because independent India had supported Indonesian leaders which were fighting Dutch colonialism, and our Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru then banned Dutch overflights and sent Indian planes to evacuate the Indonesian Prime Minister, right? So they helped during the freedom struggle. India helped Indonesia during freedom struggle. Also post-independence, they together were out of the 2 nations out of the 5 nations which were responsible for creating non-aligned movement as a third power in the Cold War era after US and USSR. It happened during Bandung conference. Okay, then the other common concerns of the countries are that there are large religious majorities practicing tolerance towards sizable minorities, right? Ukraine war is a common concern that both countries are facing. US-China rivalry, China's aggression in the Indo-Pacific, food, fertilizer and fuel security, and weakening multilateral order. So recently with G20 summits in Bali and Delhi, Indonesia also joining BRICS, we have come even more closer, right? So Bandung to an enlarged BRICS. That can be the conclusion of the answer. So 5 MOUs have been signed. They can buy India's BrahMos missile and the Sabang port project and 𝐸𝐴 Andaman's connectivity initiative. There are cooperation in these specific initiatives. Okay, let's move to the next article. This article is only from prelims point of view. Recently, there was an accident of advanced light helicopter 𝙦𝙤 of the Indian Coast Guard, and which has triggered the grounding of the this 𝙦𝙤. Okay, so what is 𝙦𝙤? It is India's flagship helicopter program. Flagship because it is tailor-made for India's demanding operation conditions. You should know what is 𝙦𝙤 and what is this significance for India. Let's move to the next article on the opinion page. This article talks about the status or the space Indo-Pacific has in the eyes of Donald Trump, the new US president, right? How he looks at it. So since US is a very important country, what is their attitude towards things that matters, right? So during his becoming the president, The presence of foreign ministers from India, Japan and Australia, that is America's key quad partners, at the inauguration underscores the strategic importance that US is giving to the grouping, to the Quad grouping. The Quad grouping is important for USA, right? So what happened? Trump was the one who had, enlarged the word Asia Pacific to Indo-Pacific. He covered more areas in Indo-Pacific while recalibrating of geopolitical lens, moving beyond East Asia and the Pacific rim to encompass the entire area for global trade, right? So they want Indian Ocean also. Indian Ocean is also very important part of the strategic initiatives. The Indo-Pacific expanded the strategic narrative, integrating defense, security and political considerations, right? The other thing is revival of the Quad underscored the Trump administration recognition of the Indo-Pacific as the fulcrum of 21st century geopolitics. It's very important for them. Okay, Joe Biden has also introduced the Indo-Pacific Economic Framework in 2022, complementing the strategic focus with economic engagement. So under the new administration Trump, the Indo-Pacific is likely to retain prominence, but with a sharp focus on hard power dynamics, right? There are certain issues with India, but in this part, India is important to USA. Let's move to the next article. So this is just an example at what countries are doing in AI. So India and US lead in Coursera enrollments for Gen AI courses. So the entire world is now learning AI, right? But India and USA are the the countries with highest number of enrollments. So demand for generative AI training has grown significantly among learners. According to Coursera data, Future of Job Reports 2025, India and US are leading this global trends in enrollments, right? But the difference is individual learners are taking this course in USA, whereas in India, corporate sponsorships play a significant role in boosting enrollments. So this much is significant for you to tell the importance of AI that's happening in the world. Let's move to the next article. So this article is a little bit long. It talks about federal issues. Should governors head state universities? Recently, a lot of things are happening about UGC. And so in that context, they have brought this issue. So this comes under GS paper 2, federalism. Since governor is appointed by center in the state, so center-state issues keep happening, right? So what happened in 1857, when India was ruled by Britishers, British established the first 3 universities in Calcutta, Bombay and Madras, appointing governors of the respective presidents as their ex officio chancellors to maintain direct control. So they wanted to control the university and the thinking of the youth. So that's why they kept their own person as governor to control the universities. That was the point of view then. But we continued with the same British colonial law. That became an issue, right? So till the time Congress was ruling in the entire country, there was not much issue. But when the governments in center and state started changing, then issues started coming, right? So centers, so a lot of commissions have recommended about governor. Center's first ARCs of 1966-67 criticized the politicization of the governor's office, highlighting the appointment of defeated politician. Sarkaria Commission 1983-88. Sarkaria Commission is important while quoting federal center-state issues. So they also said on center-state relations that over 60% of governors had been active politicians. Okay, so they were criticizing the way governors were being used by the center, right? So there are several issues with governors being chancellors. Firstly, state governments give the funds to universities, and governors will rule. So there will be certain issue, and also lack of academic knowledge of governors. Okay, so lack of academic knowledge of governors is an issue. Also, governor appointed by the center can compromise the principle of federalism. So like governors' role as chancellors of state universities, similarly president play role as visitor of central universities. But there is no issue with president and ministry, because president goes through Ministry of Education. Okay, so there are several commission mentioned here which you should read about. Sarkaria Commission 83-88 says the governor's role as chancellors is statutory, not constitutional. Okay, so he should consult with chief ministers. National Commission to review the working of constitution headed by Justice M.N. Venkatachalaya also advocated for political neutrality of governors. The M.M. Punchi Commission of 2007-10 on center-state relations says governors should focus on constitutional responsibilities, avoiding such statutory roles. So there are several examples of governor-chancellor model of UK, Telangana. You can read about this and use it in your answers if at all this kind of article comes. Let's move to the next article. So we'll talk about our Republic Day question. So Constitution of India came in effect on January 26, 1950, which all of you know. The first question is, this country's constitution was adopted in 1937. You have to name the country, right? Indian constitution borrows something from this country. And what is this? This is DPSP, which are the ideas that a state must keep in mind while framing policy or enacting laws. Also name the country from which this was borrowed. So India borrowed TPSP from Ireland, and Ireland was part of it, has also fought Britain, right? So this is the question of this. And again, the another quiz is, this student of Abanindranath Tagore was influenced by the murals in the Ajanta case. He was among the first fellows of Lalit Kala Academy. Name this artist who illustrated the constitution. So he is Nandlal Bose, who have illustrated the constitution with bull seal, Buddha in part 5, Mahavir in part 6, and Vikramaditya illustration in part 9. Both Nehru and Ambedkar opposed the inclusion of this word in constitution as they believed that the way in which it was used and understood. In 1976 it was brought. The word is secularism. Okay. The other question is, he is often known as the architect of modern Bihar. Who is this man? Who was the first chairman of Constituent Assembly? He was Sachidanand Sinha. Right? You should know all this. Again, this question is, the India was declared Sovereign Democratic Republic on 26 January 1950. The last Governor General of India was present at the ceremony. So who was the last Governor General of India? C. Rajagopalachari. Okay, he was also the founder of Swatantrata Party. Okay, this question has come twice in UPSC prelims. And this original preamble, who was the calligrapher who wrote in English? He was Prem Bihari Narayan Raizada. All this is mentioned in M. Lakshmikant. Please read all of this. Okay, let's move to the next article. So this is also important from prelims point of view. Army's missile firepower thunders down Kartavya Path and show of strike options. So this parade featured BrahMos supersonic cruise missiles, Pinaka multi-rocket launch system, BM-21 Grad MRLS, and Pralay quasi-ballistic missile system, and the new battlefield surveillance system, and the 𝐶𝐏, the new battlefield surveillance system 𝐶𝐏. You should know about it. You should have heard about all these things because it can come in prelims also. Okay, this article, this topic we have discussed before also when we were discussing the invitation card of reception of president at Republic Day event. So Southern flavor fills at home's reception. What was the theme? It was a continuation of the invitation card, which was celebrating culture from 5 states, that is Kalamkari weaves to a fridge magnet made of Ganjifa art. Please go and see in our previous day current affair. What is Kalamkari, what is Ganjifa art, what is Etikopakka dolls. Okay, they have also, the guests were greeted by Yakshagana and Kathakali artist. Please search what is Yakshagana, from where which state it belongs, Kathakali which state it belongs. They also included invitees were drone didis, organic farmers, and people with disabilities. So drone didis also we have discussed several times in our newspaper discussion. Let's move to the next article. Right, so this is a little bit, it's talking about 3 diseases. Assam tea workers prone to post-TB fungal disease study. So chronic pulmonary aspergillosis, which is also called CPA, is a life-threatening infection. Okay, and they're also talking about prevalence of epidemic dropsy in states, T-bell. So what is happening? TB is a major issue in Assam. Okay, it's affecting 217 per lakh population according to national TB data. Reasons are several: poverty, nutrition, and all. Right. So the other disease, chronic pulmonary aspergillosis, is caused by Aspergillus fumigatus, a fungus that strikes individuals with immunodeficiency. So people who have low immunodeficiency are struck by this, and it's a chronic lung disorder that occurs commonly in pre-existing lung cavities. Okay, it mostly occurs in post-TB or active TB patients. Okay, the other disease they are talking about is, so this CPA is very prevalent in India. Okay, in especially in Assam. 60 cases per 1 lakh population, whereas even in least developed countries like Nigeria, Democratic Republic of Congo, the data is only 20 to 50 per lakh. And the other disease they are talking about is epidemic dropsy, which is caused by the consumption of edible oils contaminated with the oil from 𝑎rgymonome mexicana, a poppy of Mexican origin. We should know what are these diseases. Basic names is sufficient. Now this is an amazing example for essay that you can use. Okay, so he's a flute maker who was awarded with Padma Shri. Okay, so who was this person? His name was 𝙤𝙩 Ram Mandavi. 𝙤𝙩 Ram Mandavi. Okay, so he was given Padma Shri in the field of wood craftsmanship and is known for a particular type of flute, a very specially designed flute, and he has been practicing it since 50 years. So when you want to talk about patience and people doing something for long time patiently, you can use his example. So the type of flute he makes is called sulur. It's made of bamboo. It is passed down art through generations, okay, of this craftsmanship and by his ancestors, and he had to leave school in class 4. It also comes the story of poverty, right? So but he took the responsibility of taking care of cultural heritage of Bastar. He is considered a cultural ambassador who has visited 8 countries and talked about and has spread his craft. Okay, so please remember the name of 𝙤𝙩 Ram Mandavi. You can use him in examples of essay and ethics. Let's move to the next article. We'll directly go to the science page. Now this article is important. You can read this article. Indian space program breaks into 2025 in mission mode. Has talked about a lot of things that Indian ISRO is going through. So you can read about this. PSLV-C60 mission, foundations for Chandrayaan-4 and the Bharatiya Antariksh Station. All this is happening, right? This comes under GS paper 3, indigenization of technology and developing new technology, right? So forthcoming several flights will happen, right? So PSLV-C60 delivered the SpaceX satellites, right? Docking happened, okay? So that docking is very instrumental for the coming technology, which is the Bharatiya Antariksh mission, right? These are 2 companies, Indian. So a lot of private companies are mentioned who are taking very active participation in space. So this Indian private company Kepler provided ground station as a service support. Swiss Space Situational Awareness Company also shared details of the distance between the 2 satellites on social media, right? So there are several other companies mentioned. They're also talking about a process called passivation, which is done so that the fuel doesn't explode and doesn't create a debris field. Okay, so they are talking about POEM-4, which carried PSLV-C60, carried 24 payloads. ISRO's relocatable robotic manipulator technology demonstrator was also tested here. So debris capture robotic arm manipulator also moved its arm. And very important, the compact research module for orbital plant studies called crops had cowpea seeds germinate in orbit and study the leaves. You can read about a lot of private bodies like Manastu, Galaxy, and Space Treaty, Bellatrix Aerospace. So if the question comes about private companies getting interested in, you can name these companies. Take Me to Space, Amity University, right? So this is what is it about, and a lot of Indian companies are taking participate in SpaceX transporter also. Pixel Space, Digantara, right? And X-Tilings Labs, Elevation 1. So Union Cabinet has approved the construction of a 3rd launch pad at a cost of 4,000 crore. So as a backup for the 2nd launch. Okay, so ISRO is also successfully testing its Vikas engine's ability to restart its propulsion complex in Mahendragiri. So this article you can read for a basic knowledge of Indian space. This article is more important from prelims point of view, since UPSC keeps asking new things, like Denisovan was asked in 2019. Okay, so similarly dinosaurs, they are talking about plant-eating giants called Argentinosaurus, meat-eating brutes like Tyrannosaurus. So where they were located, what was the origins of dinosaurs, where they came from? So they are saying it was more of Africa, Sahara and Amazon region, because they were together at that point of time, right? So modern day Sahara Desert and Amazon rainforest regions now separated by thousands of kilometers because of the plate tectonics that we all have read in the continental rift theory, right? So when dinosaurs first appeared, they were in the giant supercontinent called Pangea, right? And there was the giant ocean also. If you know about it, please mention in the comments. Okay, so dinosaurs emerged in the southern portion of this landmass known as Gondwana. This was the region where they were the origins. Research suggests dinosaurs likely originated in low latitude regions of Gondwana, an area that is today northern South America and northern Africa. Okay, so that's it for today. Thank you.